Whatever you think about what happened on September 10th, whoever you think did it, it doesn't matter on some level. Whether he was shot or blown up, who pulled the trigger, or who was in Tyler Robinson's ear that made him pull the trigger, all of that exists independently from one very inconvenient fact, well documented thoroughly, which is that Charlie Kirk died that day, publicly, gruesomely. It was horrific. And people that didn't even like him cried that day, but not everybody. There were hundreds, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of left-wingers. Their first reaction, seeing a young man, 31 years old, with a wife and kids, publicly executed, his neck gushing with blood in front of hundreds of college students, their first reaction was to smile and laugh, and then to celebrate, and then film themselves celebrating.
And I know firsthand, because I lost friends over this, man, like coming from the metal world, from the punk world, and knowing people that are punks that are very left wing, that I was like, man, I cannot be friends with certain people.
That's how much hatred the left has for us, all of us. That's who Charlie Kirk was. He represents all of us. I didn't like him. He didn't like me. I didn't agree with him. He didn't agree with me. He thought I should have been censored. But the left hates Charlie Kirk because he says the things that we all basically believe, because he defended Christianity, because he defended white people, because he defended America. He defended tradition. He defended conservatism. He defended free markets and the right to own the product of our labor. In the broad strokes, we're all pretty much in alignment with Charlie Kirk. And because he was the face promoting those values, that's how much hatred they harbor for him. And we live with these people. These people are our neighbors. They work with us. They go to school with our kids. They're your elderly parents' nurses. They're your children's teachers. Their first reaction to seeing an innocent man shot in the neck, blood gushing from his neck in front of kids who came and brought the shirt and the hat just to see him and see him defend Christianity in America, their gut reaction, instinctual reaction, was glee. They were happy. They smiled. They laughed. And those people are the sole beneficiaries of the conspiracy. That's all you need to know. The hatred that killed Charlie Kirk, the people that hated him, that celebrated his murder, that said his wife should have gotten it, those people are the sole beneficiaries of the conspiracy that has discredited his organization, the conspiracy that divided the right, that got them off the hook. Those smiles should have been turned into frowns very quickly by the Trump government. What else is the Trump government there to do? Why else do we have it? Why else were we a part of this movement other than that? Where there were smiles and grinning and laughing, there should have been crying and the gnashing of teeth from those wicked people. The government should have absolutely crushed those people, deservedly so, because it's happening all the time. And we see it in our society. It's when the healthcare CEO got shot and famous people were celebrating. A father and a husband get murdered by a coward, shooting him in the back of the head because they said, well, healthcare's too expensive. So we're murderers now? So we support murder? That's okay now? An innocent man with a wife and kids, and not like that matters. He'd be innocent if he didn't have that. But an innocent man standing outside his hotel, shot in the back of the head by a coward. People celebrate because, healthcare is too expensive. Charlie Kirk shot in the neck, blood gushing, people smiling and celebrating. Why? Because he voted for Trump? Because he supports Trump? Because he wants a meritocracy instead of equity? Those people should have been annihilated. They should have been prevented from ever holding power again. That's what should have happened. And there's an alternate timeline, by the way, where Candace Owens doesn't exist and Tucker Carlson doesn't exist. And a week after Charlie Kirk is assassinated, we round up Antifa, we round up the DSA, we round up the far left agitators and activists and foot soldiers and donors, and we make it so that they are never able to hold power over us ever again. There's an alternate timeline where that happens. And by the way, there's a ripple effect. Think about the timeline. Charlie Kirk killed on September 10th. A few months later, we discover the fraud in Somalia, about the $8 billion these Somalis are stealing from us. We uncover the extent of this.
Yeah, they wouldn't have been out in the streets protesting, right? If we had crushed Antifa, we taken that. How much time was that? That was, he was killed in September. So it's about like 4 or 5 months, about 6 months from his killing to when all of those protests started happening, when all that stuff in Minneapolis started happening. It's around just under 6 months. You could have totally, you did have the political will, but that was when this stuff was taking off. This conspiracy slop was just, it was through the roof at that time.
We send Customs and Border Patrol and ICE into the city to clean it up. Who shut it down? When ICE came to Minneapolis to prevent these foreigners from stealing from us, and this is in the New York Times, they said Somalians stole $9 billion from Minnesota taxpayers. And when the Minnesota Attorney General found out about it, the Somalian community said, if you try to press charges, we will accuse you of racism. We'll bring the DOJ down on you. We'll accuse you of racism and say, you're discriminating against us. This is the contempt with which these fucking people hold us in. The left and their foreign-born allies. We send in ICE to clean this up, and who stood in the way and prevented ICE from deporting these people or shutting down the fraud? It was the same radical left that killed Charlie Kirk, that was chasing ICE through the streets in cars, that was punching them and trying to attack them as they apprehended illegal immigrants. And that's ultimately why we don't have mass deportations. Think of the ripple effect. If we had held the left accountable in September 2025, we could have deported the Somalis in December 2025. We could carry out mass deportations without ICE agents having to cover their face out of fear of retaliation. We could deport illegals without ICE agents having to fear being sniped at or blown up at ICE facilities. Maybe, I know this is crazy, Elon Musk could cut the deficit a little bit without people setting Tesla dealerships on fire and blowing up Teslas and vandalizing them in the street. That's what we're up against. Don't you see the bigger picture? This is the evil that we're up against. So I hope that Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, who said he knows that Egyptian planes are real, I hope they're sleeping really well at night knowing that they almost single-handedly got the left off the hook. They got the murderers and communists and psychos that want a mass amnesty, that would blow up a Tesla dealership, that would kill any of us because we don't want open borders and drag queen story hour. I hope they sleep well knowing you guys got them off the hook. The left lives to fight till another day. The left lives to fight, assassinate, torture all of us another day. They're going to have another shot in 26 and 28 because of what you people did. And it wouldn't have happened if you weren't there. That's the best part.
I think about if you got Antifa out of the way, if you got Black Bloc, if you got all of these stupid DSA socialists, you got them out of the way, what would the country look like in just a short amount of time? It'd be completely different.
It's like the great man of history theory, but whatever the opposite of that is. It's like the worst woman of history theory. It's the idea that the will of one person can take history and move it in another direction. It's that cynical grifter, narcissist, Candace Owens, her soap opera, that alone, taking her platform and credibility and using it for this end, which has steered us in a completely different direction than we otherwise would have been going in. We would have been celebrating maybe that even though Charlie Kirk was gone, we held everybody that hated him to account, and we made it so they would never have power over us on the year anniversary of it. And we'd be looking forward in the future that the DSA and the Democrats would not be able to destroy the country and our families and Christianity and the rest of it. Instead, they're empowered by this.
Yeah, instead of getting Antifa rounded up, these Black Bloc terrorists, all right, because that's what they are. Like, if you guys live in a rural place that's red, that's just always votes Republican, I get that you don't encounter these type of people. But if you're in a major blue city, if you're in a place where liberals rule, where the left reigns, they are a real threat to your existence. They kill you. All right. And it doesn't help that the governments disarm you. Right.
They're empowered by it because the right is fractured. Everybody hates each other. And nobody's looking at what the left is doing. So thanks. To me, that's the real takeaway. All the evidence, and this is not me saying, hey, ends justify the means. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we should blame Tyler, even if we're not convinced. I'm not saying that. I'm saying all the evidence points toward Tyler, but people are cynically taking advantage of this moment. They're, I think, being pushed by the agendas of other forces. I think the left and the Muslim countries are a big part of this because that's where it's coming from. It's people like Jackson Hinkle. Where does Jackson Hinkle live? He lives in Russia. He doesn't even live here. It's being pushed by people like him. It's being pushed by all the Muslims like Sneeko. Sneeko's in Saudi Arabia. He's in Indonesia. He says he wants everyone to be Muslim. He's pushing this narrative, as is CARE, who sponsors Dan Bilzerian, Council on American Islamic Relations. And it's all the left-wingers. It's all the left-wingers like Hassan Piker that are pushing this because that's what's going to get them off. That's what's going to get Tyler Robinson and Antifa off from being held accountable. And it's going to drive America in the only direction they care about, which is make us dislike Israel, and we don't really care about anything else. So it's just like everything else. It's another one of the greatest missed opportunities in the history of the world. Think about where we are in Trump 2.0. Charlie Kirk is dead. Andrew Tate is in jail. Alex Jones is bankrupt. Mark Levin and Laura Loomer are the sainted heroes of MAGA right now. We're in a war with Iran, no mass deportations. And you got people smirking and celebrating because a black woman was sassy to a white man. Because some ignorant, illiterate, obnoxious black woman said, I'm speaking to a white guy. It's a joke. So I just hope the right wing gets serious. This is what I've been saying all year. I said this from the beginning of the year, which is that we need to win. We need to win as nationalists. We need to win as the right, not as Muslims, not as the left and these communists. Fuck them. We have to win as the right wing, and we have to recognize that the left is real. They want us dead. That's who killed Charlie Kirk. That was celebrating. Those are the people that were celebrating when he died. And these are the people that are about to accede to power if we don't get our act together.
Yeah, like think about that. These are the people that are about to win in landslide elections as DSA socialists, as basically communists. They are going to win in landslides. And, you know, in private, they're celebrating. Some of them are gloating publicly, and people like Hassan Piker, who represents, you know, the edge of their party, he is literally out there thanking Candace Owens for making sure that his people will get into power, that he will be saved.
I know I'm in favor of Democrats getting in 26 because I think we got to hurt Vance a little bit. I don't think Vance can win in 28, and I think he's got his own problems. But it's all going to come down to 28. Either in 28, we're going to get a nationalist Republican to win the primary, win the general, and save us. I think, however, more likely than not, all this bullshit, all this nonsense is going to propel a Democrat in, and it's going to be buyer's remorse. Some progressive Democrat's going to get in, and it's going to be brutal. And it's going to be another 8 years of darkness. And hopefully that accelerates us to a point that would be the real Hail Mary, where we get something even more radical at the end of the next super cycle. That's where things stand right now. That's where I see it. So that's the bigger picture that nobody's really paying attention to. And really think about that. I'll never get that out of my head because, like, think about it this way. Me and Charlie Kirk hated each other. When he died, I actually got emotional about it. And I got emotional about it because he's a human being. Because I am a Christian, even though he's my enemy, even though he tried to ruin my life and ruin my career and had nothing nice to say about me, to the day that he died, we were mortal enemies. But that's a human being. That's a human being who is innocent, who did not deserve to be murdered. And the manner in which it happened was so horrific. I think any decent person with a conscience is appalled by that kind of brutality.
And I think it's also just people have lost sight of what this really means to the young people, because it's all of these, let's be real, it's all these millennials, a lot of these moms, all right, you got nothing to do, a lot of these Gen Xers and these millennials, and there's a lot of women, all right, and a lot of wife dads that got nothing better to do to talk about this stuff. Dude, think about like how Zoomers view this. This is like, it's almost akin to 9/11. You can't even like think about these kind of visceral moments that are caught on camera that just pierce the psyche. And a lot of older people who have just been fed this Candace and Tucker slop, these older people, mostly female, they yap and yap and yap, and it's all about this, right? It's all about talking about all this stuff that doesn't make any sense. When the young men and women are looking at this objectively, and let's be real, vast majority of young people don't believe Candace, right? If you're young, if you're like under 30, no one's watching that shit, dude. I don't know like any young people that are watching that shit and believing it, all right? All young people know that it was Tyler Robinson that killed him, all right? And there is this sick thing with these older people, especially these older millennial women, not all, okay, but these Gen Xers and millennials who want to take up all of the oxygen out of the room and yap about this like stupid, you know, true crime thing. It's another true crime show for them, right? When NCIS isn't on, they're on this, right? And it's like, to us, we actually have the real discussion over here. We don't sit in la la land.
What's more, whether we were friends or not, Charlie Kirk is a stand-in for everybody that cares in any way about America and Christianity and our history. Was he as radical as us? Absolutely not, not even close. And did he try to suppress us? Sadly, he did. But whether we like it or not, the left did not see a distinction between him and I. And the left did not see a distinction between him and Trump or him and you. Because he was out there in the public, going against the LGBT agenda, against immigration, against DEI, against socialism, against the people that are tearing down our statues, our heroes, our history, our God, everything we love, our government, our families, our parents, the men. Because he was there defending all that on any level, that's why they hated him. That's why they killed him. That's why they celebrated, and they did. And we saw it. And that is how you know they have to fucking lose. That is how you know we cannot afford to lose this battle. That's what happens in history. There are times in history when you come to a crossroads and you have to show up to the battle and fight, and you have to win. You just have to win. This is one of those things. The people that celebrate Charlie Kirk being killed, we know they're evil. That's how you know they're evil, and that's how you know they have to lose. It's not an artificial divide. It's not a culture war. Right and left are not fake. That's a dividing line that matters to me. Did you celebrate Charlie Kirk being murdered, or did you not?